Hello friends, hope you all are doing well. I am Dr. Gurmanpreet Kaur, Associate Professor of Law at Rajiv Gandhi National University of Law. So before discussing the topic maintenance under civil laws in India, let's start with discussing certain situations. Suppose a person is not competent to maintain himself or herself, who should be held responsible to ensure his or her livelihood? Which law will be relevant? Where will you file a case? What if someone fails to take care of old parents? What if children fail to maintain themselves? What will be your course of action? All these cases are covered under civil and criminal laws relating to maintenance. The concept of maintenance in India is an old one, though it is still developing. Law and society coexist. One cannot exist without the other. And since the society is dynamic, law has to be dynamic to resolve problems in the society. Therefore, law related to fixing the responsibilities of a person in the family depending on the nature of relation is the subject of maintenance. Now let's first discuss the concept and meaning of maintenance. The term maintenance is not defined in any of the marriage laws of any religious communities. But the entitlement of claiming maintenance is certainly based on the assumption that the claimant does not have sufficient means to support himself or herself. The maintenance generally covers the expenses for necessaries or essentials for the substance of life. However, it is not merely a right for survival of the claimant. The court is to look into the possession of the property, ability to earn, conduct of the parties and other circumstances to decide the amount of maintenance. So before fixing the amount of maintenance, the status of the parties and the standard of their life enjoyed by them during the subsistence of marriage will have to be taken into consideration. So now let's discuss the laws relating to maintenance in India. First, we will start with civil laws, then under the criminal laws. The provisions of maintenance are intended to fulfill a social purpose. These provisions are contained in Criminal Procedure Code 1973 under sections 125 to 128, under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005. Under the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act of 2007. The object of all these provisions is to compel a man to perform the moral obligations which he owes to the society in respect of his wife, children and parents. These provisions seeks to ensure that the neglected wife and children are not left beggared and destitute on the scrap heap of society and thereby driven to a life of vagrancy, immorality and crime for their subsistence. The inability of the wife, child and father or mother to maintain themselves could lead to social problems and therefore it became the concern of the state not to allow such inability to grow into social problems of great magnitude, unless the consequences of such inability were checked by providing appropriate measure. Large-scale vagrancy could be the probable offshoot from there. The provisions of maintenance under CRPC and Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act are independent reliefs, although the right to claim maintenance under Hindu Marriage Act is an independent right and it is not being controlled by the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. The jurisdiction of the court cannot be ousted on the plea that the applicant under Hindu Marriage Act is already getting maintenance under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. But while fixing the quantum of maintenance, that may be taken into consideration. Under the Hindu Marriage Act, either spouse can seek maintenance under the Criminal Procedure Code and Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Only the wife can claim maintenance. The provisions under Hindu Marriage Act 1955, under Hindu Marriage Act 1955, an order for maintenance may be first made by the court for maintenance pendent light, that is interim or temporary maintenance, and expenses of the proceedings under section 24 of the Hindu Marriage Act. And secondly, for permanent maintenance and alimony under section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act. Next, we'll discuss the provisions under the Criminal Procedure Code 1973. So, section 125 of the code provides that if any person having sufficient means neglects or refuses to maintain his wife, unable to maintain herself, a magistrate of the first class may, upon proof of such neglect or refusal, order such person to make a monthly allowance for the maintenance of his wife, provided that if such person offers to maintain his wife on condition of her living with him and she refuses to live with him, such magistrate may consider any grounds of refusal stated by her and may make an order notwithstanding such offer if he is satisfied that there is just ground for doing so. So, next we have the provisions under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956. The Hindu husband is under a duty to maintain his wife during his lifetime. Maintenance is a personal and a legal obligation. The meaning of the term maintenance is given in section 3, clause B of the Act of Maintenance, which includes in all cases provision for food, clothing, residing, education and medical treatment. And in case of an unmarried daughter, the reasonable expenses of incidents to her marriage are also included. Now, moving further, let's discuss about section 18, which deals with maintenance of wife under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. A Hindu wife, whether married before or after the commencement of this act, shall be entitled to be maintained by her husband during her lifetime. So, section 18, clause 1 is applicable when the wife lives with her husband. A wife who has ceased to be a Hindu cannot claim maintenance under this act. However, an unchaste wife who lives with her husband can claim maintenance. Secondly, a Hindu wife shall be entitled to live separately from her husband without forfeiting her claim to maintenance under the following circumstances: if he is guilty of desertion or is willfully neglecting her, if he has treated her with cruelty so as to cause reasonable apprehension in her mind that it will be harmful or injurious to live with her husband, if he is suffering from virulent form of leprosy, if he has any other wife living, if he keeps a concubine in the same house in which his wife is living or habitually resides with concubine elsewhere, if he has ceased to be Hindu by conversion to another religion, if there is any other cause justifying living separately by the wife. Thirdly, a Hindu wife forfeits her claim for maintenance when she is living separately and maintenance from the husband is not given if she is unchaste or ceases to be a Hindu by conversion to another religion. Moving further, let's discuss the maintenance of widowed daughter-in-law. So, section 19 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act provides that after the death of her husband, a Hindu wife is entitled to be maintained by her father-in-law if she has no means of her own earnings or property or estate of her husband, father, mother, or from her son or daughter or his or her estate. However, this right cannot be enforced if the father-in-law does not have the means to do so from any co-parcenary property in his possession out of which the daughter-in-law has not obtained any share. Further, his obligation ceases when the daughter-in-law remarries. Under Section 19, one of the conditions for father-in-law to maintain the daughter-in-law is that the daughter-in-law is not able to maintain herself from the estate of her parents. A clear finding is necessary whether her parents have estate sufficient to maintain her and in what circumstances she is unable to maintain herself or by her parents. So for this purpose, the parents of the daughter-in-law are required to be heard. This is possible if they are made parties to the suit. In their absence, any finding will not bind them, where from the estate of the parents the daughter-in-law can maintain herself. The question of obligation of father-in-law does not arise. Dear friends, moving further, now we study about the court's discretion in the determination of amount of maintenance. So under Section 23, it is in the discretion of the court to determine whether any and if so what maintenance should be awarded under the Act in respect of the wife, children, aged or infirm parents. The court will have regard to the following situations: the position and status of the parties, the reasonable wants of the claimant, if the claimant is living separately or whether he or she is justified in doing so, the value of the claimant's property and any income derived from such property, or from the claimant's own earnings, or from other sources, and the number of persons entitled to maintenance under this Act. The amount of maintenance, whether fixed by the court's decree or by the agreement, may be altered subsequently if there is a material change in the circumstances under Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act. A person cannot claim maintenance under the Act if he or she ceases to be a Hindu by conversion to another religion under Section 24 of the Hindu Marriage Act. Now let's discuss about the protection of women from the Domestic Violence Act 2005 provisions pertaining to maintenance. So this enactment provides for a specific and effective remedy to an aggrieved person who is a victim of domestic violence while living in a shared household along with the respondent, including the husband. The scope of legislation is wide as it covers not only the wife but every woman who has been living in the relationship in the nature of marriage. Maintenance is to be granted under Section 20 of the Act. So while disposing of the application under Section 12, the magistrate may direct the respondent to pay monetary relief to meet the expenses incurred and losses suffered by the grieved person as a result of domestic violence. The basic condition for claiming rights under this Act is causing violence. In 2005, this special law called the Domestic Violence Act came into force to tackle issues related to marriage and divorce, cruelty, maintenance, injury, harassment, etc. are some of the issues which were tackled by this Act. Domestic Violence Act under Section 20, Clause 1, Subclause D talks about maintenance. It says that court or the magistrate can order a person to pay maintenance in the form of money, that is alimony, to his wife, his children, whether they are below or above the age of 18, and his parents. Further, under the criminal law, an act called Criminal Procedure Code talks about maintenance under Section 125. It says that if any person refuses to pay maintenance to his children, his wife, or his parents, the court can order him to pay sufficient maintenance to them. Now the question arises that whether the maintenance has been talked about in civil law, criminal code, and again in Domestic Violence Act too. So can the maintenance be given together under all these acts or only through one of them? The answer is yes, maintenance can be given to a woman and her child whether above 18 years of age or below through all these acts together. Section 20, Clause 1, Subclause D, while talking about maintenance, also says that the section can be claimed individually or in addition to an order of Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code or any other relevant law as well. Now let's further discuss about where the application can be filed for maintenance under the Domestic Violence Act. The application under Section 12, read with Section 20 of the Domestic Violence Act, can be filed before the judicial magistrate or the metropolitan magistrate, and the judge can order interim maintenance as well during pendency of proceedings if it is satisfied that there is a prima facie case in favor of the aggrieved person. The magistrate may pass ex parte orders based upon the income affidavit in the absence of the respondent. In the case of Rajesh Kure versus Safur Bai and others, 2009 Criminal Law Journal NOC 446 Chhattisgarh, it was decided that the words of provision under Section 20 of the Act are clear, plain and unambiguous. The provisions are independent and are in addition to any other remedy available to the aggrieved under any legal proceeding before the civil court, criminal court or the family court. The provisions are not dependent upon Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code or any other provisions of the Family Courts Act 1984 or any other act relating to award of maintenance. In case of award of maintenance to the aggrieved person and the child under the provisions of the Act, the court is competent to award maintenance to the aggrieved person and the child of aggrieved person in accordance with provisions of Section 20 of the Act. Aggrieved person is not required to establish his case in terms of Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Further, time and again, Indian courts have allowed and upheld the same argument. In the case of Shom Nikhil Danani versus Tanya Banan Danani, where the Honorable Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud and Indra Banerjee, judges of the Supreme Court, upheld the decision of the High Court granting maintenance under both the acts. The Supreme Court stated that the High Court was correct in saying that if a woman has claimed maintenance under Criminal Procedure Code, she can again approach the court and seek the relief under the Domestic Violence Act. Further, again in the case of Rajneesh versus Neha, it was held by the Supreme Court quorum by Justice Indu Malhotra and Justice R. Subhash Reddy that it is well settled that a wife can make a claim for maintenance under different laws. A woman can ask for maintenance under Criminal Procedure Code, Domestic Violence Act and also at the same time under the Hindu Marriage Act. However, while giving the order to the husband to pay maintenance under all these acts, the courts must check with both the parties if any maintenance has been granted to the woman and the children, and if yes, then how much, and then the court must decide how much more maintenance should be given. Now further let's study the distinction between Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act and Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code. So firstly, under Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and Section 125 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, only wife can claim maintenance. While under Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act, either spouse can do so. Secondly, under Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and Section 125 of Criminal Procedure Code, a wife can claim maintenance and live separately from her husband while her marriage subsists. Under Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act, either spouse can claim maintenance and permanent alimony, but that can be done only after the judicial separation or after the divorce. When the marriage is subsisting, there is no question of applicability of Section 25, Hindu Marriage Act, but Section 18, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act will be applicable. The word wife does not have the same meaning in the two enactments. The court cannot grant the relief of maintenance in proceedings under one enactment in proceedings under the other as decided in the case of Ramesh Chandru Daga versus Rameshwari Daga, AIR 2005, Supreme Court 422. Next, moving further, Hindu wife contemplated under Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code includes only the wife of a valid marriage. While under Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act, even a wife of a void marriage can claim maintenance. Further, Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act seems to have overridden Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act, because in both the sections a similar provision exists, and by virtue of Section 4 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, it is the Act of 1956 which shall prevail, and the provisions of Act of 1955 vis-a-vis maintenance of wife shall cease to have any effect. Moving further, now let's discuss about Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007. The provisions of Section 4 talks about maintenance of parents and senior citizens, wherein a senior citizen, including parent, who is unable to maintain himself from his own earning or out of the property owned by him, shall be entitled to make an application under Section 5 in case parent or a grandparent against one or more of his children not being a minor. A childless senior citizen against such of his relative referred to in Clause G of Section 2. Secondly, the obligation of the children or relative, as the case may be, to maintain a senior citizen extends to the needs of such citizens so that senior citizens may lead a normal life. Thirdly, the obligation of the children to maintain his or her parent extends to the needs of such a parent, either father or mother or both, as the case may be, so that such parent may lead a normal life. Moving further, any person being a relative of a senior citizen and having sufficient means shall maintain such senior citizen, provided he is in the possession of the property of such senior citizen, or he would inherit the property of such senior citizen, provided that where more than one relative is entitled to inherit the property of a senior citizen, the maintenance shall be payable by such relative in the proportion in which they would inherit his property. Lastly, maintenance under civil laws is a wide concept which encompasses within its ambit the maintenance of wife, widowed daughter-in-law, children and aged parents. Although these rights and duties are mentioned in the statutes often, but they are misused and abused also. Maintenance should be gender neutral and should be applicable for both husband and wife, son and daughter in case of old parents, respectively, for the greater perspective of the society. But still, many women, many children, many old parents are being denied claim to their rights of maintenance. Proper implementation is necessary to make it accessible for everyone. So with this we come to the end of lecture. Thank you very much.